A new, exciting open source blockchain platform has been born. Its core mission is to develop easier and more affordable tools for everyone to be able to create tokens and NFTs. For the first time, we're introducing the innovative Tokel platform, a fully decentralized, community-driven project with contributors globally. It offers many new powerful features for artists, content creators, and event organizers and token owners. Tokel is building the future of tokenization together with the help of Komodo Technologies. Creators and users have the freedom to create, to hold, buy, sell, and trade tokens with ease. Developers have the freedom to build on top of the platform's layer. Tokel has features such as simplified token creation tools, token decks, and NFT marketplace. The NFT creation process has an extremely low barrier to entry. Businesses and individuals can now benefit from the token economy by using tokens in everyday life. A built-in decentralized exchange enables peer-to-peer trading. Tokel.io, the future of tokenization to NFT and beyond.
Hello,
Hi,
hello,
everyone. I'm
hello.
Daria.
Hello.
Greetings. I'm Giuliano.
How are
Welcome
you
to
guys?
Tokel Talk. We have a very special show for you today. Joining us is Mack Flavelle. Mack has been making games and doing internet things for quite some time. Most notable are his roles as co-founder and chief creative officer at Dapper Labs, maker of Cryptokitties, plus his current role as CEO at Big Head, where they make strange and marvelous NFTs. We'll learn more about one of those projects today called Oni Ronin NFT. Welcome to Tokel Talk, Mac.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We also have Matt Pearlstein and Blockrex, Ethan, from System Error, a Web3 lifestyle brand focusing on charity and education, bringing together humans who want to help humanity. Matt and Ethan, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to the show.
Great. And for all the apes and ape lovers, we also have Bill Starkoff, aka Fitty ETH. He's here today as well. The first Apocalyptic Apes Genesis NFT collection sold out, with the second Queen Apes collection raising $1.5 million and selling out in 3 hours. Fitty is passionate about utilizing NFTs to support women, artists, creators, and the environment. And it's very much a pleasure to have you on the show today, Fitty ETH.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me up.
Excellent. And joining us from the Tokel team are Kelsey, Dream Tim, and Nutella. If you want to contact us, visit our website, tokel.io/tokeltalk. Now, it's time for some NFT stats, and we're going to have Kelsey read those out for us. So what are some latest stats, Kelsey?
All right. Well, the global NFT market cap is sitting at just over $12 billion right now, with over 95,000 NFTs sold over the last week and a combined sales volume of over $71 million. The top selling NFTs this week were a CryptoPunks that sold for $872,000 and another CryptoPunk sold for $388,000. And other side NFT sold for $309,000. A Bored Ape sold for $205,000 and another Bored Ape sold for $182,000. The top NFT collections over the week were Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, Other Side, Moonrunners, and Doodles. And those are the stats for the last week.
Excellent. And how about some news? Any interesting news you came across?
Absolutely. So over the last week, NFT NYC took place. Over 15,000 people attended, up over 5,000 from last year. During the conference, the second annual NFT Awards also took place. The award for Best NFT Artist went to X Copy. Takashi Murakami won the Best Traditional Artist turned NFT Artist, and his Flower Seed collection won the award for Highest Volume Collection from Asia. Beeple won Best Established NFT Artist. The digital horse racing platform Zed Run won Top Collection by Transactions. My Curio Cards won Top Art Collection by Volume. And Bored Ape Yacht Club received the awards of Top Collectibles Collection by Volume, Most Innovative NFT Project, and Best NFT Business Model. The conference also hosted the largest private collection of ancient arms and armor. The Ancient Arms collection included more than 6,000 artifacts from a collector who is remaining anonymous. Attendees were able to physically handle the weapons and armor, as well as purchase NFTs of the artifacts. The NFT versions of these objects were created by the organization The Knights Who Say Nah, who spearheaded the event and will use the proceeds to support museums and cultural institutions. Those who purchase the NFT versions of the artifacts will have the option to vote on whether the physical pieces are donated or auctioned and how the proceeds will be used. A Snoop Dogg impersonator wearing the name tag labeled Dupe Snog was in attendance at the conference as well. The impersonator was hired by the NFT startup Fair.xyz to fool attendees to highlight the issue of imposters and fakery in the NFT industry. The Museum of Fine Arts in Boston is making its first experiment in digital assets with an NFT sale this summer. The Boston Museum has announced a partnership with lawcollection.io to create an NFT collection featuring some of the MFA's rarely exhibited pastel works. Proceeds from the sale will be used to conserve artwork at the museum. And that's it for the news for the last week.
Oh, thank you, Kelsey. And I think we'll get started by maybe a little bit of a recap of that NFT NYC. Among those 15,000 who were there, Mack Flavelle was one of them. Matt Pearlstein was one of them. Mac, what were some takeaways that you got from that event this time?
NFT people are willing to stand in a fucking line. That was my takeaway. I was like,
you're saying there were some long lines. Is that it?
yeah, but also people were willing to stand in them. Like, I'm not kidding about that. It's very interesting to me that, like you go to New York City. How often are you in New York City? There's all these different things to do. And of all the things to do, standing in said line is the use of time that you choose as an NFT collector or enthusiast or fan. That was pretty interesting sort of value signaling, I figured. That was, to be honest, like that was probably my single largest takeaway. It was just that what people are willing to endure for their alpha or for their mint or for their insider, whatever the fuck they're after. I found it to be eye-opening.
Fascinating. That's pretty cool. And Matt, you were there as well, right?
I was, yeah.
And did you see those long lines, or what else did you take?
I did. I waited in a few myself to go to certain events, just specific collections that I own that I really wanted to meet people at. My biggest takeaway was actually kind of the positivity. You see in a lot of discords right now, some people are down pretty bad. I mean, a lot of people have lost money and NFTs, coins, you name it. And there it just kind of seemed like everyone was in a great mood. They were happy to meet people. It was really funny to meet some people and have conversations, and 30 minutes later realize that we follow each other on Twitter and we've already talked. So that was probably my biggest takeaway, just a lot different from all the other stuff I've done.
So it sounds like people, they might have lost money or whatever, but they're still in good spirits. Was that a takeaway?
They are, and my takeaway was that people were kind of looking past just the price action of NFTs, and they really cared about the community and the other aspects that you get out of owning these. And it was just really nice to see people that maybe had bought a while ago and maybe the price action didn't play out how they wanted. They still get a lot of value out of owning that NFT, and they were having a lot of fun and met some really cool people. If not, they already had those existing relationships.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like there is a lot of value derived within NFT projects, and so that people who maybe paid a certain amount for it, but they're getting value in other ways that is provided through the community and through the project, what they're offering, what they're providing. And we're going to find out a little bit more about that through System Error, which is Matt Pearlstein and Ethan Blockrex. That's what you're doing. And then we'll hear about the value from Apocalyptic Apes and Queen Apes from Fitty ETH. But we're also going to hear about some of the early days of NFTs with Mack Flavelle. And Mac, you've been around for ages, it seems like, isn't it?
When I meet people who say that they've been in NFTs since January 2021, which makes them a vet, it makes me smile. I feel like that's not vet terms, but yeah, I've been around for a while. Full disclosure though, I also did other things. Like I've gone and made games in between when I was bored or confused or sad or upset. Mostly confused. But yeah, the 721 standard was created so that CryptoKitties could fuck each other on the blockchain. Because I went to my co-founder Dieter, who wasn't a co-founder yet. We were both working at a company called Axiom Zen, and they'd said, "Hey, we need you to make the blockchain fun." And I was like, "I don't really understand what that means," but I went away and thought about it. And I came back and I said, "We should make cats fuck on the blockchain. We should make a game out of cartoon cat fucking." And then when you actually get the cats to bang each other, you mine Bitcoin. It's going to be awesome. And Dieter, who's a very smart fellow, said to me, "You don't make any sense, but I think I can extrapolate what you're saying, and you want non-fungible tokens on the world's smart computer, aka the Ethereum blockchain. And if we gave you that, then you could make your cats bang." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I don't really know most of what you just said, but like that's cool." And so that's how we got to the 721 standard, so that the cats could fuck on the blockchain. CryptoPunks already existed. They were the only meaningful NFT that already existed. There was like some super alt-right racist bullshit in the Rare Pepe and the XRP. And there was some weird things out there. I think like something called curio cards or something. There's a couple other cute little things. But meaningfully, NFTs didn't exist until cats started to fuck on the blockchain. Besides CryptoPunks, all hail the punks.
Interesting. Okay, so you've basically answered my first three questions there, which is great. And so what you're saying is that the ERC 721 standard NFT was created for the purpose of birthing these CryptoKitties. Is that correct?
That is exactly right. That was the
Nice.
sole purpose of it to start. But Dieter was smart enough to say, if this is useful to us, then might be useful to other people. Why don't we be good actors in this decentralized universe and create a standard out of this? And I think we're all glad that he said that.
Yeah, very cool. And so many people might have thought that CryptoKitties were the first, but in fact, you're mentioning there were a few others before that. But CryptoKitties really became a huge deal, particularly because it clogged up the Ethereum blockchain. Did you ever think that would happen?
Nope, not at all. I also didn't understand that you could or what that meant, if we're being totally honest. I only understood that you could clog up a blockchain after we had clogged up a blockchain. Until then, it never crossed our mind that was possible. But at its peak, 25% of transactions on the Ethereum mainnet were either breeding or buying CryptoKitties. So yeah, fuck things up.
Incredible. And so with that, did you
Oh, I lost the voice. Did you not push to
oh
talk?
no, sorry, I'm back.
Oh,
Sorry
cool.
about that.
No worries.
Yeah, so my bad. Sorry about that. So, okay, well, with the success of the CryptoKitties, that led to the formation of Dapper Labs in 2018. Is that correct?
Yep.
And that was for the purpose of like continuing to issue more projects because you saw the success of the CryptoKitties and you realized, wow, there's really something big here. We can keep going with this.
We were like, man, this was really cool, but it could be so much cooler in a bunch of ways. I mean, really, honestly, the launch of CryptoKitties taught us three things, arguably. One was that blockchain scalability had not been solved. So there was an entire asterisk around, like, as much as I'm sitting here saying shit like 25% of transactions on chain were from the cats, Also, there wasn't like more than 10,000 people at a time who gave a fuck about CryptoKitties. We're not talking about big girl numbers here. This was pretty small stuff. And so clearly scalability was an issue, and that was one prong. The second problem was accessibility. I mean, people think it's hard to get into blockchain now. It's a lot better than it used to be with all the KYC and the Coinbase and the MetaMask and blah, 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 blah. There was no MoonPay and shit, you know? So accessibility was really hard. And then even if you had scalability and accessibility, it was obvious that nobody was going to give a fuck if you didn't give them something to care about. So at Dapper, I was in charge of content, and we figured that the bold, strange way that we would solve content that people care about is by going to the NBA and seeing if they wanted to hang out on the blockchain. And thankfully they did.
Yeah. Actually, you partnered with top sports leagues, NBA, to create the NBA Top Shots, NFL
Yep.
All Day, and UFC Strike. So that seems like that was the most obvious move to gain the popular attention and popular usage from everyday people who aren't or weren't yet familiar with crypto, blockchain, and NFTs, right?
Yeah, that was our hypothesis. And I would argue that Roham is a very thoughtful guy. And it was something that we talked about where we said, the two blockchains that mattered at that point were Bitcoin and Ethereum, and both of those were created by people who gained early traction amongst developers. They found people who understood the nuance of the blockchain, of the decentralization, and people who would care about that. And they gave them years to develop an affinity and build out that ecosystem. And we took a very unconventional approach, which was to just go build a blockchain called Flow and slap the biggest fucking brand we could find on top of it, which was Top Shot. It's one of the top 5 IP on Earth, I'm pretty sure. And that was a very unconventional way to try and launch a blockchain. To be clear, I had left, I gotta stop saying to be clear, but I had left Flow by the time Top Shot launched. But it was a good plan and it worked.
Nice. Well, I mean, you seem to have been instrumental in that. And okay, so this is kind of like a bit of a future question, but it's still related to Dapper Labs, but it's related to more than that. Um, you know, using the power of play to deliver blockchain-based experiences and digital collectibles. Um, Blockchain is the biggest thing to happen to the internet since the iPhone. It will reshape how we use and interact with digital worlds. So, in your opinion, is that already happening? Is it just have we barely just scratched the surface and we haven't really even seen anything yet? Where are we in this timeline?
I mean, if this is the top, then we all failed. There's like the last quote I heard was 1.4 million people had interacted with MetaMask based, or sorry, Ethereum based NFT on MetaMask, and like if that's there's 1.4 million people who sneeze on Earth at the same time. Like that is an insignificant number. So I hope we're just scratching the surface. I hope we're just getting started. Otherwise, this was fun, and I'm glad y'all showed up. But like the party's over, the ugly lights are on, and it's time to go back to work, get a real job and such.
Right. All right. So okay. So then let's move on then to the Oni Ronin NFT. You're currently the CEO of Big Head Club, where
Yep.
you create strange and marvelous NFTs that stand the test of time. There are
Yep.
several projects listed on your website. Some of
Yep.
them are involving some celebrities and other notable people. Today, we're going to focus on the Oni Ronin NFT. Um, so, this Oni Ronin is a collection of 8,888 NFTs that represent Japanese samurai, Japanese Ronin. They're very intricate. And with these NFTs, each of them have a chance to become one of the rare 88 golden Ronin. Um,
Mhm.
this project, it blends the bleeding edge technology, artistry, and culture. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah. So first of all, if you're listening, check out onironin.io only so that you can see that this art is unlike anything else you've seen in NFTs. I would argue the one other thing that I saw that looked like this, or at least had this degree of intricacy in a 3D realm, is galaxy eggs. I thought galaxy eggs were really cool. So Onironin honestly came not from samurai necessarily, but from jisei, which are death haiku. And I was reading a book about death poetry from Japan, and it turns out that if you want to live well as a samurai, then you should die well. And one of the ways to die well is to write your death haiku that captures everything you learned in your life as close as possible to the moment that you died. And that doesn't mean that always happened. Like some people wrote that fucking thing 2 decades before they died, and it was the best they ever did. And some people wrote it 2 decades before they died and then just kept rewriting it to make it better and better and better. But ultimately, you were trying to create this jisei death haiku that encapsulated all of your brilliance in the haiku format. And I became obsessed with that idea. That was really, really interesting to me. So I called an artist friend of mine who I'd known for a very long time. He was my neighbor. I still have his tomato plants. And I said, do you want to do some art together? Oh shit, what happened to my computer? Hope that didn't die. And the other thing was I called my friend Manabu, who I'd been working with for a while in a playful capacity. He gave me the name Dekate, which means big hands in Japanese, because I'd go get drunk with him and then try and do Lego at the Dapper office. And I'd be bad at it. And he'd be like, Whitey, your hands are too big. I'd be like, no, they're not. I'm drunk. But it was still cool. And I called Manabu and I was like, man, like, I've learned about this poetry form in your history. I fucking love it. I want to build these crazy NFTs around it. I've got amazing art. We want to do this right. I don't want to be some culturally appropriating white boy shithead who just shows up and like jacks all your shit and pretends it's mine. So could you join us as an executive producer on this project and make sure that we are doing this tastefully and respectfully? And Manabu, who's a fucking G, was like, yeah, man, let's go. And so Manabu got on board and became deeply involved. Manabu's mom did all of the calligraphy and shit for the haiku in classic style. Like, it's literally a little old Japanese lady in Kyoto who did all the haiku. So if you look at the Onironin, you can see the poems. There's 20 different haiku that we used that we wrote in the background in the smoke. And if you want to hear your NFT's haiku, if you want to hear what the actual enunciation of your haiku is like, then you have to take it to the Trial of Ascension. And as you said, you will either get one of the 88 golden back, or you will get one of the fallen. And there's 10 different shades of fallen, but in either case, you get to listen to your haiku. And then the other weird layer of craziness we put on top of that was if you collect all 10 shades of the fallen, which I think is impossible right now, but if you go collect all 10 shades of the fallen and send them to roninhell.eth, then the artist behind the project will make you a custom Onironin. So there's 7 people on Earth who've gone and collected all 10 shades and sent them to us, and now the artist has like called them, understood what they love, their passions, their curiosities, and has made a custom Onironin. Well, he's in the middle of making a custom Ronin for each of them, which is super fucking cool and weird. Oh yeah, and like we have history classes and language classes and flower arranging classes and meditation classes available. And we made a comic with my childhood hero, who is now publishing the comic. There's a comic named Yosagio Jumbo, which, if you know much about the comic industry, that guy was doing like blockchain things before blockchain existed. When you talk about your CCO and owning your copyright rights and ownership, there's 2 great stories in Western sort of cartoon culture or nerd toy culture. One is Alex Guinness, the guy who played, I think I got his name right, but the guy who originally played Obi-Wan. That guy made more money than anybody except George Lucas off Star Wars because he kept the rights to his merchandise. And Stan Takai kept the rights to Yosagio Jumbo, which is how he got them into Ninja Turtles. So if you remember the rabbit inside the Ninja Turtles toys and cartoons, the guy who made that shit is publishing the Onironin comic, and it brings me like so much 7-year-old joy.
Very cool. So, I mean, there's a lot there to unpack, but I think one of the things is that I'm very much inspired as well by these haiku death poems, and it has inspired me to want to be fortunate enough to get to write my own, like right before death. But I think you've put me a bit at ease to know that I could write it now, even if I don't die for another 50 years. It's still valid, and I could keep making it better as I go along anyway. So that's something good to know.
Yeah, start
and also-
now and just make it better when you learn more insightful things on your God's journey.
Oh my goodness, that's perfect. And yeah, so you're saying that actually the NFTs, once you choose the Ascension, um, the trial of Ascension, when you get your NFT back, whether it's one of the 88 or whether it's one of the Fallen, you will be able to hear. There will be an audio track along with that NFT. That's right.
Yep.
Cool. Very cool. And so, I mean, you've covered a lot there, so that's perfect. Um, Let me see here. Where do we want to go next? So you mentioned
Um,
about commercial rights. Yeah. Did you want to go somewhere? Is that what you were going to say?
nah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So you mentioned about commercial rights. I did want to talk about this. Um, be the Oni Ronin, as an example, the NFT holders have the commercial rights to do whatever they want with their NFT. This seems to be a theme that I'm witnessing, where the property and IP rights are democratized or flattened to empower the everyday people, not just the creators. So it seems like you're very positive on this, and do you think this is the way of the future?
No, I think it's fucking dumb, and I think it was a mistake, and I think everybody who sits around on Twitter yelling about "give me my IP rights" is a fool. There's like 3 NFTs. What is your opening stat from Kelsey? Said 95,000 NFTs were sold in the last week, I think. There is something like 6, maybe, NFTs in the history of humanity where the IP rights being granted to the NFT holder mattered at all. It's the 4 apes that fucking Jimmy owns for his kingship band. It's Jenkins. Notice it's an ape again. Maybe you want to talk about Timbaland's ape. Like maybe there's 1 or 2 examples, but for the most part, what you're doing by getting so excited about those rights is hindering your project creator's ability to go negotiate real value for you as the project holder. The likelihood of me getting a Netflix series goes down dramatically if I've told everybody who owns one of these apes that they have the IP rights. The likelihood of me getting a movie, even a podcast, like every form that you can imagine of me going out and engaging traditional media in order to bring large scale, real mass adoption of this project becomes measurably harder once you start negotiating away those rights. So 5 years from now, when everybody's used to this, sure, give everybody the rights and we live happily ever after. In the meantime, you have now got the rights to a NFT that you are never going to do anything with because you're just another stoner sitting at home hoping to get rich quick and easy. And then the project owner, who's laboring away trying to make this all work for you, has made their own job much harder. So
I
I
see.
think it's a terrible idea for everybody to give away those rights.
Interesting. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. It makes it easier if it is centralized and they could just deal directly, for example, with you, rather than having to negotiate with each of the owners or whatever. So I can see what you're trying to say. So then, why did Oni Ronin choose that route?
Because we were wrong. Because we were stupid. Because we followed the meta of the moment, which was you should totally give away these rights. And I should have known better. And to be honest, it hasn't been a big deal for us. Like, it hasn't screwed us with that. But Stoner Cats, which you can see as my little icon there, is another project we work on. They did not give away those rights. And they are in the middle of negotiating some really cool shit that I will not be able to do with Oni Ronin because of exactly the reasons we described. Long term, this won't be an issue. It's just that we are in a time of change and transition. And in times of change and transition, you want to create deals where it's very easy for people to say yes. And it's not very easy for people to say yes when you're like, oh, yeah, no, we own all the rights with an asterisk. As soon as you have an asterisk on that statement, you're making it harder to make a deal. And my hypothesis is that as a collector of a project, you want the project owner to be out there making deals that increase the global appreciation of your project.
Yeah. Well, speaking of times of transition, we are going to move over and hear from our other guests as well. But I do want to ask you one more thing, or just comment on something, maybe hear your thoughts about it. Um, but there are a lot of other benefits. You mentioned some of them, um, including samurai history lessons, haiku workshops, Zen meditation sessions, tea ceremonies, flower arranging classes, and even a raffle to win a trip to Japan. Um, so, Mike, I'm just wondering, It seems like you're providing not just an NFT, but an entire cultural experience.
Yep. And to be honest, most people don't care. I'll tell you why. There's this thing called the what's it called? It's called the Shawshank Effect. I think that's what it's called. I suspect it's from a guy named Dan Ariely, who is a disgraced behavioral economist, and I don't care if he's disgraced. He's a fucking genius, and I love everything he's ever taught me. And one of the things that he came up with, if I'm right that it's him, though I could just be making this part up, somebody came up with the Shawshank Effect. And the Shawshank Effect is the difference between your wish list, like your to watch list on Netflix, and your recently viewed list on Netflix. Because in reality, we all go make this watch list of really interesting cultured films. It's like we're trying to be the Criterion Collection. We have shit like Shawshank Redemption, which makes us feel smart and interesting on the list of things that we've said we want to watch. And then you look at the list of things you actually just watched on Netflix, and it's Friends reruns and porn, not on Netflix, and like a bunch of dumbass shit. This doesn't make you special. We are all this way. But that delta between the person that we lie to ourselves about who we are and the person that our behavior actually proves who we are, that's the Shawshank Effect. And everybody loves the incredible list of stuff that we provide with the Oni Ronin NFT. Like we literally have Concordia University level history teachers teaching Japanese late Edo period history. And people love talking about that. But do they show up to the classes? Fuck no. And so that's been an interesting journey of discovery for us as we work through all of this.
But that'd help
Cool. Well, it's
actually sell the NFT though, right? Even if people don't use it, it'll still help sell the collection.
Yeah, agreed. And like, as long as we all keep telling ourselves that we're the kind of people who watch Shawshank, it's good for me.
Yeah. I think offering those extra bits and pieces is definitely one way to try and get people interested, but I think it's definitely an interesting concept that people don't actually participate in that sort of stuff. And I'd say that like the more projects that people are engaged in, the less likely they are to actually engage in the content of each individual project. And that's the problem with DAOs, right? You have people in DAOs that, want to be a part of that DAO for whatever reason, exactly like you're saying, but then when it comes to actually participating in voting and coming up with proposals and all that sort of stuff, they don't. Like a majority of the people in the DAO don't actually participate. So interesting concept. I thought that's pretty cool.
Wrong, agree. People give your DAO thousands of dollars, but they won't give you an hour a week. And that's okay. Like this is not a judgment loaded statement. It's just an observation of our priorities and how most of us line those things up.
Yep.
Yeah. We're learning a lot along with you here today, Max. So thank you very much. And we're going to now move over as well to Matt Pearlstein and Ethan. Hi, guys.
Hey, thanks so much for having us.
Wonderful. Well, why don't you're with System Error. Why don't you share with us your backgrounds to start?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Matt. I actually got into the NFT space through a mix of an interest in crypto and collectibles. So I was actually in the sports card world way back before the pre-COVID pump and all that. I was in crypto back in 2017, 2018-ish. So not the earliest, but still pretty early and enough to pay attention when, everyone started kind of paying attention. So Ethan's actually the one that got me into NFTs through NBA Top Shot. So shout out Mac. Found that as really just a digital way to collect collectibles, which I was already doing, and kind of fell in love with it. I'm a trader, a collector, and at the time was working in traditional finance. And after kind of finding NBA Top Shot, stumbled upon some other opportunities and made the full-time transition into Web3.
Cool. And Ethan, you were already involved a bit then, it sounds like.
Yep. Have been in crypto for some time now. I've formerly worked as a financial analyst at a digital creative agency, then turned project manager. And yep, like Matt mentioned, was introduced to NFTs about midway through 2020. Found NBA Top Shot. It reminded me a lot of Ultimate Team. I'm a pretty big gamer, so I saw FIFA Ultimate Team, Madden Ultimate Team, and this looked like the adult equivalent for those games. So kind of jumped right in, and then since then have kind of just seen what the possibilities are for these NFTs. And since then, yep, that's kind of where we get to this system error.
Very nice. Okay. And so why did you choose to work on system error?
So
Oh
actually,
yeah.
with system error, Ethan and I actually act as kind of advisors, team members on a bunch of different Web3 projects. So what happened was we were working in the space full time, and the demand for really anything with NFT or metaverse in it was going crazy, just on the interest level. So we were basically getting reached out to on LinkedIn by 50-ish people a week, just pitching us different projects. Hey, what's your opinion on this? Is this something you would want to work on? How are your deals usually structured? And we were essentially hired by a creative agency on this project. And what really drew us to System Error was the guy being like, no, like I want to do something different. I see what's going on in the space. I actually work very closely with the Headstrong Project, which is a very prominent nonprofit in the US. They've raised very significant money for veterans in terms of mental health, PTSD, and really all of that stuff. So once he kind of brought the idea of tying in nonprofits, we had a call with him. You could just kind of tell when someone's speaking with you and they're really passionate about something. And me and Ethan sat down after and we were like, yeah, this is someone that we want to work with. He's actually, a graphic designer, creative marketer himself. So we really have the full leverage of his design studio. He showed us some of the art that he was working on, and we really loved it. But more importantly, we kind of loved his mission of, look around at the world. The system's kind of broken right now. What can we do to fix this? Using the very powerful technology of NFTs in the blockchain, but not the get rich quick mentality that a lot of people have in the industry. And so that's really what it was for me. I kind of saw a lot of projects donating to charity, but the caveat there was really no transparency around the funds being donated. You have no idea what really happened with those funds. You maybe don't know if they were even donated aside from just, a screenshot of a receipt or something like that. And also the amount of the funds seemed really insignificant. You could see a project minting out and raising millions of dollars and then donating $5,000, which is still great because it's money going to charity, but it would essentially look to us like a marketing ploy where someone could donate such an insignificant percentage of their mint revenue and then just pin the tweet and leave it pinned there for a month or two. And so we kind of looked at that and wanted to change that.
Cool. So with system error, what is your mission? What's your main mission and roadmap that you might want to share with us?
Sure. So for me, it's really the things that we're focusing on are, like we said, the charitable component. So um, not only do we want to donate, we want to give 50% of all profits generated by the System Arrow ecosystem to our nonprofit partners. On top of that charitable component, we saw really, and we've worked on projects in the past that have made donations. There was no really true relationship between the organization and the NFT project. And so we wanted to get all of these NFT or nonprofit partnerships done up front and make it so that there's full, essentially transparency with everything. So we're not actually even going to touch the funds that are donated to the nonprofits. When people mint an NFT from our collection, it's going to be wired through the smart contract to automatically go into the wallets of our respective nonprofits that we've helped set up with every.org, which is another nonprofit itself in the space. Um, and really doing it that way, we just think is something that's really unique and going past charity because we understand that people need utility. We do feel like we have great art, but also we have a full roadmap too. The main area of the roadmap we'd focus on is the education and the lifestyle brand aspect. So two things that would happen immediately upon mint is you'd be enrolled in a full education course, an education system, and that's really to solve the system error of the miseducation, the misinformations going around the space. We really feel that a lot of people don't truly know what they own in terms of coins and NFTs. They don't really understand what they're getting into and they're buying for the wrong reasons. And we want to help provide them resources so that they can really make educated decisions there. So anyone who holds the Genesis NFT of System Error will be enrolled in a full education course run by our marketing and content team. At the same time, we want to launch a lifestyle brand. And the unique aspect here is we don't want to focus on exclusivity like a lot of the 10K collections do. We want to make it so that there's a public merchandise store, and that if people want to support System Error and they want to support the cause that we're behind, you can buy merchandise and not get involved in the Web3 component of System Error. Maybe you think crypto's dead. Maybe you think NFTs are a scam, but you still see that we're donating money to amazing causes and we formed an awesome community. And that's how we think we can appeal to all of them. For the people that want to buy the Genesis NFT, you're going to get much more superior benefits. A few things we have are you'll get an initial merch claim. That will be items that are not available to the public store. So you get that supreme type exclusivity aspect from that. But you'll also be able to access the same merch store as everyone else and be able to connect your wallet and buy any products at cost. So we're not looking to really profit off any of our NFT holders. And really any of the other profits are either donations or they're going to fund the roadmap. And I just gave a lot, so I want to really let Ethan speak on top of that.
Yeah, that would be great. Go for it, Ethan.
How we really see NFTs playing a role in our everyday lives in the future is really that transition to allow consumers to more intimately interact with brands better than ever before. We want to create one that makes sure that it's giving back to causes that we collectively as consumers care about, while also keeping the consumer's best interests at hand. So already having these nonprofit organizations paired with us and as our official partners, we want to ultimately leverage their existing resources and potentially some of their current partnerships and just bring more value to our holders through that. So maybe it's providing discount codes or providing interesting things to them down the line.
Very nice. Okay. Well, speaking of those partnerships, do you have one or two in particular that you're most fond of?
Honestly, they all do. They all have very unique missions. All just doing stuff for good. I'd say the most notable brands that we have are probably the Life is Good Kids Foundation, just because Life is Good is a pretty well known brand, and the Headstrong Project, like Matt mentioned before, that's helping assist veterans with mental health issues. But the other two partners, NOAA Systems, they're providing clean drinking water to people all around the world who need it. It's a great device that should be more mainstream than it is. And Sustainable Surf, and this was a touchy subject because it was tough to really connect with an environmental nonprofit. But once we, due to the Ethereum carbon emissions. So something we're doing is making sure that our collection is ocean positive. We're pairing with an organization. Sustainable Surf actually created this connection for us, an organization named Ariel. So what Ariel does is they can help calculate the amount of carbon emissions that our collection exudes, and then we can make that positive through Sustainable Surf's product, Sea Trees. So we're going to be planting trees in the sea that actually are more effective than trees on land at reducing carbon emissions. So really, I would say all of them provide are for an interesting cause and have interesting ways of impacting the causes they care about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it certainly sounds like it.
the last part I would add to the partners aspect is really our partners really have no common ground other than them being nonprofits that are looking to do good. And that's really what we wanted to focus on. Us as an entity is system error. So we're talking about, the system in general being broken, but it's really broken in many ways. So all of our nonprofits are doing things much differently, but they're all going towards one common goal of simply helping humans. And so the four that Ethan mentioned are our four official partners that will be receiving the 50% of the profits. The other two partners are more strategic partners. So Ariel, that Ethan touched on, is a really, really amazing company. They were actually just featured to be the carbon offset for Shopify's new launch of an NFT service, in a sense. And so it's been really cool to kind of explore those relationships. And the other one being every.org. And every.org is what allows essentially our nonprofits to receive these donations in fiat, not deal with the complications of downloading a wallet, potentially hiring someone to onboard them into this, but at the same time getting them that first exposure into the space. So that's really one other thing that we think about when we think about an NFT and a Web3 entity or an NFT project. The only ones that I'm really looking at these days are the ones that try to function as businesses. So if they can't answer the question of what is this going to look like in years from now, um, and that's really not something that I want to buy into myself. And so we see system error in the longer term as really being something that can bring nonprofits into the space and just make it a lot easier for them to get donations. Just in general, be involved in the world of Web3 because it's really expensive and traditionally nonprofits lag behind in technology.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. Very, very cool. Well, we really appreciate having you on, Matt and Ethan, to share about system error and all the good that you're trying to do for humans and humanity. We are going to move on right now to speak with Bill Starkoff, aka Fitty ETH. Okay, so Bill, how's it going?
Fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. Yeah, very well. How did you get into NFTs and what attracts you? What attracts you to NFTs?
Whoa, that's an interesting question. So, started out on BSC and got involved in a lot of tokens. Traditionally, I come from real estate world. I develop properties, build my builder, and things kind of slow down in my space. I mean, they're still good, but I was very interested in tokens, and it was pretty cool and unique. A few of my friends showed me some NFTs that they were working on and they're doing, and it made no sense to me. This right click save, I'm the only one that has it. Here's a picture of Michael Jordan doing a slam dunk. I paid 30,000 for it. It made no sense to me. Zero. Like I looked at it from every which way you can. It actually confused me. I'm like, why would you want to watch that slam dunk 30,000 times on your computer when you could just, go on YouTube or something like that? So it didn't really make a hell of a lot of sense to me until somebody gave me an explanation. This is like a community. And when you join an NFT space, you join a community. So when you join the Doodles or the Bored Apes or the CryptoPunks or Cool Cats, whatever community you're joining a country club. You're joining, you're working with like-minded people, people that make sense, people that talk about the things you do. And then there's also value for NFT. So when I was explaining that and I started working with that, it made a lot of sense to me. And
Yeah,
that's where my life began.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So why did you start Apocalyptic Apes?
I started another collection called Holy Guacamole, and halfway through it, my artist Hattie, and these are cute little avocados because I thought, you know what, it's just about how many 3D glasses you can put on, how many party hats. I mean, I was new in the space, and halfway through it, he kept drawing these apocalyptic things on these avocados, and they looked really stupid. And I was like, dude, why the fuck are you doing this? Like, I like, what's wrong? Like, why are you killing this? And he's like I that this is the current art I draw. He's very he comes from that era where he loves apocalyptic movies. He played a lot of video games. He's a gamer, so he kept doing this. And at that point, I got my first mutant, which was 2 ETH, and I thought that was insane. And he drew my mutant for me, and it actually looked better than the mutant itself. And I sent it to a few of my Bored Ape friends, and they looked at it and they said, "Oh my God, dude, nobody apes into avocados. Avocados are good for guacamole, maybe some carne asada.
Yeah.
But you gotta do something apocalyptic." And we just kind of went with that, and that I let him do his thing, and never looked back. I mean, I never questioned him because you can't tell an artist how to draw, what to draw. I've realized this. I'm not an artist, but I understand community. I understand um, people's desires, people's what they need, what they want. And when you're dealing with artists, they're very sensitive people that I kept trying to change his art style. That wasn't working. So once we hit his art world and his art type, I mean, there's no stopping him here.
Right. That's pretty cool. And with the Apocalyptic Apes, you're looking to do good while doing well. You're partnered with Click, Golden State Hemp, Team C's. You've got a music partnership with Mutiny Records. And part of your mission is to partner with forward thinking businesses and projects for the greater good of planet Earth. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a lot of it's funny when I listen to everything and I hear it. And when we first came out with our collection, our roadmap was insane. I mean, I wanted to give everybody everything. I wanted to deliver everything the same day. You want to keep everybody happy, but you realize you're not going to, because the minute you say, "Hey, we're doing this," when Lambo, when minting, when staking, when this, when tokens. So we've kind of changed the role. We have been supporting women projects. We donated $25,000 to a female project that got rugged, Fame Lady Squad. We've donated money to Team C's, and we're working on some other things with them. We do have some really large collaborations with Click NFTs and Mike Tyson, who's a part of that group, with Omri Caspi, who's an NBA player. So we're really trying to do something different, because if you understand, or you guys know anything about the apocalypse, well, we're kind of in it. Like, we're, with COVID and everything that's happened to us, we're kind of in it. So our whole mission for our project is to show people that, we're kind of imperfect, but we do want to make some changes to this world, like get rid of plastics. You go to Starbucks and you buy a coffee, and they're saying, we're not going to give you a plastic straw, but we'll just put a plastic stopper in your coffee that'll melt all over inside your coffee. We're not going to give you a plastic straw, but we'll give you a plastic cup. So it actually makes no sense. So that's why we've got a lot of partnerships. I can't really go into too many specifics. I'll tell you one thing we're doing, which is really cool. So that little meat tray that you guys get when you buy your fish, chicken, or seafood at the store, it's made of styrofoam. Styrofoam is completely toxic. That's why you have that paper underneath your meat, and that paper is the only thing protects the plastic from coming into your fish, chicken, or seafood, or or Earth burgers, whatever you guys eat. And so we've actually teamed up with some really unique people and created these things that are made of hemp and almond and coconut and completely biodegradable ingredients, and it costs us 4 cents to 6 cents more than using styrofoam. But guess what? Our government won't do that. They'll just send, bombs, money. They'll do whatever it is, but they will not help our lives or our children or our families. So we want to take a whole different mission for our project and really do good, while we're working with our community, and really, really make a difference.
Yeah. Well, it certainly sounds like the apocalypse when instead of spending 4 to 6 cents, you're rather spend, I don't know, millions of dollars to bomb things. But that's another discussion for another day, maybe for even another show. But as we remain with the NFTs, you also mint. You had a Ape Queens mint, and that sold out. And then there's going to be some breeding involved. Does that mean you're going to be able to breed your apocalyptic ape with a queen ape?
Yeah, so we have 4 juices that are out. We have it's called Juice Labs, and there will be different babies that will come. We'll have mutated babies, we'll have triplets, quads, and twins. We'll also have special features on some of the babies, depending on which juice you're going to go with. But we're not going to release that collection before we bring value to our current NFTs, because I truly feel that just draining liquidity for your communities is not the way to go. So we've got something called Apocalypse that we're working on right now. It's going to be introduced shortly, and that's going to bring some serious value to our current NFTs. So we love the breeding, we love the babies, we want to do more, but we really want to bring liquidity from Web 2 to Web 3, and we've got several partnerships we're working on. And I actually love what Mac said about giving IP rights. I mean, it's actually really brilliant what he said. So one of my partners is Nicky Diamonds, and he has a collection with mutants and bored apes. And what he's done is he's asked specific bored ape members and mutant guys to, hey, who wants to put their ape into this diamond thing I'm doing? And the people that did, they're making thousands and thousands of dollars by allowing Nicky to use their IP rights for just those apes, and and if you go to Journey or any of the stores in the mall, you'll see like Nikki's t-shirts or skateboards or hoodies. You'll see Skull Collection. And so it's really a unique feature, and I do agree a lot with what you say. Giving people the IP rights is bad, but also not giving them is bad. So there's a happy medium, and I've been dealing with an intellectual property attorney for the last couple months, and you can give people their IP rights with some exclusions to work it yourself and not put so much work on the founders, like you said, and say, hey, if anybody's interested in using their ape or their PFP in this project, please submit your PFP to this, and then you're going to make a signature and allow the project to use that PFP. So that way you're kind of getting the best of both worlds.
Quick thing to throw in on that as well. Sometimes I'm a little bit fucking binary, a little bit too simple about things. But at CryptoKitties, we made a new license that I thought nobody would ever use and was a waste of time. And it turns out I was wrong because it is used by Doodles. Evan and Jordan both came from the Dapper team, and so they had exposure to it there. And the Doodles license is, I think it's called the Kitty license, which is like the legally binding name, which is fucking hilarious to me. But what they do is you can do whatever you want as the NFT holder until you generate $100,000 in revenue. And at that point, you have to put up your hand and say, hey, Doodles, like, we're kind of serious about this. And that way, if you want to make shirts and coffee mugs and sell them at your local flea market, for sure you should. You own that shit. Have at her. But if you're going to go build a competitive theme park in Shanghai while we're trying to build one in Paris, you got to fucking call the mothership. So maybe that's an interesting, like, nuanced version of that as well.
Yeah, no, I love what you're saying because it makes a lot of sense. And like what you said about putting a lot of pressure on the founders, yeah, absolutely. Because now you've got everybody and their mother trying to create IP rights with their NFTs, and you're just getting DMs. Hey, can I put it on this? Can I put it on that? Can I do this? Can I do this? So you're right. You're 100% right what you're saying because you do get the space, and it's nice to talk to somebody who or listen to somebody who's been in the space longer than I have, who really gets it. So I think there will be a uniform with the IP rights in the space down the line. And I've spoken to probably 2 or 3 different IP attorneys, and every one of them has a different view, a different vision, different understanding. At the end of the day, I feel like I know more than they do about this, which is kind of sad.
I have no doubt that you know more than they do because listening to you talk, you have nuanced and subtle and informed opinions. The other thing to remember, just for those following along at home, is it's not necessarily about who's right. Like, my obsession is with closing the deal. How do I get Netflix to say yes? Or how do I get Columbia Records to say yes? And that doesn't necessarily mean I have a leg to stand on. That means the person on the other side of the table while I'm negotiating this deal is not scared away, right? It's not that if we got to the bottom of this, we wouldn't find out that, in fact, we do all have the rights and it's fine. It's that they've had a bad day, their husband's leaving them, their kids are shitty, and you're sitting here being like, no, we just got to call Bob in Minnesota, and Bob in Minnesota is going to sign out. They're like, shut the fuck up, I'm out, I'm done. We're going to go do a deal with Supducks because those guys are fucking cool. And so that you get it, I have zero doubt. It's quite clear. The lesson for everybody at home, if you're trying to build your projects, is just think about how much complexity are you introducing into your negotiations for the big multi-million-dollar deals you're going to try and negotiate down the road.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, there's just so much here, and I wish we could like double our time, but we are just running out of time. And so I'm gonna ask, like, if we could have a part 2 of this, that would be fantastic. But until then, you know what? I just have to say huge shout outs and thank yous to all of you who are here today. We're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna ask you, Mac, where's the best place that people can follow you?
On Twitter, I'm at Big Head Mac. Big Head
Perfect.
Mac, M-A-C-K. It's all one word. And I'm not
Perfect.
very good at the Twitters anymore.
No worries. And how about Matt and Ethan?
To follow System Error, it's System Error HQ on Twitter. And then my personal Twitter's mattpearls.eth. If anyone wants to reach out, always happy to talk.
Yep, and I'm blockrex _ on Twitter.
Thank you. And how about you, Fitty Eth?
Fitty ETH on Twitter without the dot. The Twitter doesn't allow the dot. Mac, I gave you a follow already. Love to catch up with you.
It shall be
Perfect.
so.
Amazing. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today. And we ask that everyone join us again for the next Tokel Talk. But keep your eyes out for an announcement. We will be having a mid year news update with Kelsey. And to stay up to date with the latest, follow us on Twitter at Tokel Platform and join our community in the Tokel Discord. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And we will talk to you again soon. Goodbye.